Next on the Broadway Show, there's no place like home. The Wiz is headed back to Broadway, but not before hitting the yellow brick road. We'll talk to the director. Plus, I'm sitting on the stoop with the man who plays Alexander Hamilton, Miguel Cervantes. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is the Broadway Show.
Each and every week, we're excited to bring you the Broadway Show, and that's why I'm glad you're here. I'm Tamsen Fadal.
The Wiz is headed home for the first time in more than 40 years. The Tony-winning musical is coming back to Broadway in the spring of 2024, but not before setting out on a national tour.
Paul's here with the story.
On Christmas Eve 1975, a new show calling itself the Super Soul Musical, Wonderful Wizard of Oz, started performances right here at the Majestic Theater. Now, a stellar creative team is bringing The Wiz back to audiences. The Broadway Show will go behind the scenes of this new production as it eases on down the road to U.S. cities on its way back to Broadway. First up, I'm sitting with director Schele Williams. Schele, so happy to see you. You are the woman who is going to help bring The Wiz, one of my favorite musicals, back to Broadway after almost 45 years. How does it feel for you to even just process that statement?
I feel so honored more than anything. I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world. I cannot wait to share this beautiful story again with people who love it, like you, and to introduce it to new generations.
I don't know if people really understand the initial impact when this show landed on Broadway. It was big.
It was seismic.
Yeah, seismic.
It's interesting because when the show first opened, there wasn't a lot of confidence that it was going to be lasting, right?
Right.
And then that commercial came out.
Believe in the magic that's inside your heart, and believe in the Wiz, not because I told you to.
It took 2 seconds for people to go, what was that? It was like, and then the tickets started selling, and then they never stopped. It's also, you know, a show where Black people were like, oh, this is us. Not just Black people on stage.
Right, yeah.
But real authentic representation. Stephanie Mills' voice did not sound like it had come out of a conservatory. She sounded like she came out of church. And that sound, that, you know, what Jeffrey Holder did in his direction and his costumes, it's like, that's us. George Faison's choreography showed the world that Black bodies can do all kinds of things. It was the first time, you know, I saw contemporary dance on Black bodies. A real elevation of what I had seen. I was so happy for Soul Train and like seeing that growing up on TV. I knew that we could do that. I didn't know we could do that. So The Wiz taught me so much about my Blackness at a young age when I saw it in Dayton, Ohio. And then I saw what looked to me like a little girl, although she was older than me. I mean, I was like, I don't know, 6, 7 years old when I saw it. But I saw myself. And although we went to go see all the touring shows, it's the first time I saw me on stage. And that was exciting.
Many Broadway creatives have tried to bring the musical, originally steeped in 70s soul culture, back to Broadway without crossing the finish line. But Williams is confident that now is the perfect time for The Wiz to return. Many years have passed. We're in a different point in the world. How are you what's your entry point for a vision for this new production?
My entry point are my 2 girls. I have a 13-year-old and a 12-year-old. And when I started the show a couple years ago, I kept thinking about what are they looking to see when they see Dorothy? And when I read the script, what I saw was a girl who was seeking belonging, who felt like she didn't fit in where she was. And she gets put on an adventure where she has to go beyond her comfort zone. And she finds her tribe. And every person that she finds is a little quirky. And they're all kind of seeking their own sense of belonging. And they have challenges that they face. And they have to face their fears and they have to overcome. And then they meet someone who's like, I can fix everything for you. Right? But what they realize is they have to solve their own problems. They have to be brave. They have to learn how to rely on each other. And at the end of the story, she learns that she must believe in herself. And she is exactly where she needs to be, and she has exactly what she needs to have, and she has great purpose. And when I saw that in the story, I was like, oh, that's a gift to my daughters.
Can't you feel a brand new day?
Joining Williams behind the scenes of The Wiz are creatives like Beyoncé choreographer Jaquel Knight, Black Panther production designer Hannah Beachler, and Tony-nominated writer Amber Ruffin. So what was it like assembling your new cast? I know this is a show everybody wants to be in. I'm sure there was a lot of interest.
Oh my gosh. The amount of emails, Instagram posts, videos from high school productions.
Right.
I mean, in every way. Cold phone calls that I would get, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my number's on the internet. I mean, I'm gonna get emotional thinking about people saying, I've never been in a room like this. Me looking at the room and going, when I started auditioning 32 years ago, I was one of 3 in the room and knew all 3 of us weren't gonna get the job. Only one of us would be that representative in that show. You know, it is that I will never forget. I'll never forget Jaquel's first audition for, auditioning dancers for Broadway Show. And him going, the talent here, the people who flew in from all over the country.
And bringing it to Broadway is the goal, and there have been many productions in my time over the last 30 years that have tried to reboot The Wiz. This feels like this might be the one with the special dust on it, Glinda's special fairy dust.
Yeah, it does feel like this yellow brick road has a very magical destination, and I'm so excited.
The pre-Broadway tour of The Wiz starts September 23rd at Baltimore's Hippodrome Theater, the exact spot the show first premiered 48 years ago. Back to you, Tamsen.
Want to see more of Paul's interview? Head over to Broadway.com for an extended version.
He's not throwing away his shot at telling dad jokes. I talked to Broadway's Alexander Hamilton, Miguel Cervantes.
Well, let's start with your jokes anyway, because
yes.
so you got a book of jokes.
My wife gave me a book of jokes last Christmas, like
Yeah.
two years ago, and I started bringing them in and telling some people jokes, and then it kind of became a thing where I found different places during the show to tell, some wardrobe folks, the cast, and then it became sort of like a part of the track. Part of the Hamilton track is like, first you do my shot, then you tell a joke, then you do.
I don't think you should tell Lynn that. I'm
Well,
suggesting.
maybe we're gonna write it into the track. And then one of our wardrobe gals, Lisa, came down with a medical situation, and so she had to sort of step away for a little while, and she told the folks down in the wardrobe, she said, one of the biggest things that I miss is being able to hear Miguel come and tell these dumb jokes. So we started videoing them for her to send them to her, just that was it. And then it became this sort of thing we put on Instagram, and everyone sort of is enjoying it.
Why do scientists believe that you couldn't tell when a pterodactyl was going to the bathroom? Well, because the P is silent.
It's kind of part of one of my things, like everyone has a little thing, and so I get to.
I like your thing. I like your thing.
And listen, if we can add a little bit of laughter, in something that, after years and years and years, it becomes kind of what you do. It's just step here, move there, put this shirt on, and now I get something a little different. I don't get to mess around on stage, so maybe
You
get
have your own little performance going on backstage.
Exactly. What do you call a fish with a bow tie?
I don't know.
Sophisticated.
Sophisticated. I would have never thunk. You know what I mean? It's great.
You've been on stage a lot. You've been with a lot of communities of actors. What makes this one particularly special? Do you think it's the show itself? Do you think it's the people that are attracted to the show? What do you think it is that makes this one different? Not only for the audience, but for you.
When I was a kid, when I was in high school or college and thinking, I just want to be I want to do this. This is what I want to do. It wasn't this. It was this. But what I mean is,
this is okay.
This is pretty good. But it was, I just want to be out there singing and performing and using my sort of gifts. But Hamilton took on this sort of life beyond theater and beyond performing. The messages that we, as the people we are, how we look, the way we sound, who we are as individuals outside of the theater all become part of this experience that is affecting young people, it's affecting older folks, it's affecting all kinds of different walks of life that, you know, I didn't realize that
It's affecting history.
it is becoming a historical and a phenomenon in our time, and we get to be part of that, and that's what makes this special.
Every year, the Broadway League presents Kids Night on Broadway, and August 29th will mark the first ever summer edition in New York City. Kids under 18 can see participating shows for free when they attend with a full-paying adult. Since 1996, the program has welcomed nearly 200,000 kids and families to experience the thrill of live theater. This summer, 17 Broadway shows are taking part, including The Lion King, MJ, and more. Kids Night on Broadway also takes place across the country throughout the year at various theaters. For more information, head over to kidsnightonbroadway.com.
This is The Broadway Show, and we're back in just a few.
Hi, my name is Roman Banks, and I play MJ in MJ the Musical, which plays Cincinnati, Ohio from September 5th through the 17th. And you're watching The Broadway Show, baby. See you soon.
It's time to take a walk with the Broadway star, so let's send it out to Charlie Cooper.
All right, Kevin, we're walking to work.
We sure are.
Does it
41st Street, right
yeah,
here.
Exactly. Does it feel kind of weird to be walking to work, to know that you're going to be on Broadway? It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah.
It's been 16 years since my last Broadway show.
Right.
And I have to say, there is no place I would rather be in the world than on Broadway. And I don't just mean as a performer, but in the audience at a Broadway show.
For sure.
So to get to be in a show on Broadway, a brand new, original American musical comedy that has, you know, America at its heart, the people of America at its heart, you know, we're stronger together. It just, I couldn't ask for anything more.
So it's super funny, and I almost feel like this is like perfect for you because as someone who was the world's youngest, right, rodeo clown.
There you go, you
as
did
a
your
kid,
research.
I mean, a full circle moment. I mean, is there anything from that experience that you take with you?
Well, you know, it was my first introduction to working with an audience were rodeos, and I would go out in between the events and do comedic acts while they were setting up for the next event. That was my first contact with an audience. So to start from a place of humor in that world, which is exactly what I'm doing here, and there's something about the role of Peanut. He is, you know, the town philosopher. He marries people, he buries people, he's the county clerk, he's the watchdog, he does it all. And a lot of my texts that Robert Horn, Tony Award-winning book writer, has so brilliantly written are jokes to the audience, which feels so much like my roots doing jokes to the audience in the rodeo. It just, and I get to wear cowboy boots. I mean, that's
How
like—
fun, I love that. What did you miss about Broadway when you were gone? You've done a ton of TV.
Yes, thank goodness. Like, I'm so grateful and fortunate, but there's nothing like Broadway. There's nothing like the audiences that come to a Broadway show.
Does it ever surprise you how well received this musical is? This musical that centers around corn.
I know, it's about corn, but it's also about community, as I mentioned before. And I think that's what is resonating so much with people. And there are so many people that have come to see the show that say, I'm from Nebraska, I'm from Ohio, my family's in Iowa. I think that it almost gives voice to a demographic that has never had a voice in a Broadway show before. And I think that that's powerful.
Well, listen, we're here.
You walked me to work.
I literally walked you to work.
Oh my God.
Thank you for letting me walk you to
This
work.
was the
and
best
good
walk
luck.
ever. Yeah.
I love that.
I'll see you at Cobb County soon, I hope.
You sure will.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thanks for sticking around. I'm Tamsen Fadal.
It's one for the ages, the critically acclaimed Broadway musical, Kimberly Akimbo. It's a story of a 16-year-old girl who has a rare and fictional rapid aging disease. Imagine teen angst while living in the body of a 70-year-old woman while also dealing with a dysfunctional family.
Here's Beth Stevens with another edition of Building Broadway.
Thanks, Tamsen. Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright David Lindsay-Abaire teamed up with Tony Award-winning composer Jeanine Tesori to turn his early play, Kimberly Akimbo, into a musical. This hilarious and heartbreaking work is now playing on Broadway. I went to Lindsay-Abaire's Brooklyn home to talk to the creators. I saw Kimberly Akimbo when it was off Broadway way back in 2003. What made you two think it should sing?
Well, Jeanine and I worked on Shucked the musical together, and we had a really great time, but there were a lot of people involved. And I said to Jeanine, I'd love to do this again, but like I write one of my plays, where it's just us by ourselves and we can splash around for as long as we need to. And it was Jeanine's idea. She said, well, what about one of your old plays? And I said, well, what do you mean? And she pulled Kimberly off the shelf.
Right off that shelf.
Off the shelf over here. She said, I think this one sings. It has a big heart in it, and I think there might be a musical there. And then we started investigating.
Jeanine, you've worked with playwrights before, of course. How do you find your way into a piece that's already written?
David is an incredible structuralist, and I work from chaos. You should see my kitchen, and David's kitchen is very orderly and neat. So together we have a great structure, and there's places where the lines blur. I think we bring that out in each other.
I like the way you see the world. I like your point of view. A little sly, a little strange, a little bit askew.
Do you find that there are stories that appeal to both of you, that you know you both want to tell? Are there any themes that you're finding in common?
The thing that I can trace through all of my shows, they tend to be about outsiders who end up in an upside-down world and have to find clarity in that crazy world. Jeanine and I have very similar senses of humor and sensibilities. I grew up working class, and you know, really horrible things happened to my family and friends, and the more horrible they were, the funnier they sometimes were, that we used humor as a coping mechanism. I think that's something we have in common.
Definitely. David does some Three Stooges stuff that to this, I won't make you do it, but it's like la-da-dee, la-da-da. It's just like a really silly sense of humor, but also incredibly grounded. One of the actors said it's like the tragedy and comedy that live side by side. They're neighbors, and that's what life is so much of the time, how absurd it is and how beautiful it is. And, you know, when my grandmother, when she was in her late 80s, and she would look at the mirror and she would say, God, I'm so surprised I'm not 12. It just really rings to me about how we stay the children we were, if we're lucky that we have that sense of play and humor, because life is so hard.
I wonder what you see when you look at me.
My eyeball, icky earlobe.
Tell me about the music and how you found the sound for this play that had no music before. How did you find the sonic world for it?
One of the ways that I find the way into a show is the easiest song, the straight AAB song. I don't usually stick to song form. I really like going in and out, and I think that's one of the reasons that we've worked really well together is there's this idea of what can a song do and when should you stop because your ear can't take anymore. So it's always easier for me to start with that kind of simple one and then expand from there. Anagram is my favorite song in there because David's a really great, you know, he is a master of the puzzleistic arts, I would say, and right?
Yeah, that Seth character is pretty close to who I was at 16.
Yeah. This time, oh, this time, the dead ends will end.
If you two were to tap into your 16-year-old selves, what do you think they would be thinking about this musical?
I mean, I think I would like it for a bunch of reasons, but the main thing is that was my sensibility from when I was 4 years old. That juxtaposition of oh, it's really horrible and really funny and kind of sad. That was always the work that I was drawn to, and so I liked those kind of shows. Those kinds of shows influenced me. Christopher Durang and John Guare and Tina Howe and these brilliant playwrights. I thought, oh, I just want to write like that. I knew from middle school that that's what I wanted to do. So, I mean, it feels like this show is kind of a throwback to those shows that I loved growing up.
Agree. I mean, my three sisters and I grew up in a very, I would call it a very challenging atmosphere. And so our escapes were opening the window and escaping out literally on the roof and jumping to the ground and running away, but also through intense humor.
I mean, we really wanted to make this show about a teenage girl that was not dying, a girl that was living and was trying desperately to be seen and have a happy family and make connections with people and never feel sorry for herself. It's sad because the situation is sad, but Kim never feels sad for herself. She just wants to take action while she has time.
And that's going to do it for us. Until next time, I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is The Broadway Show.